What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Real with T and L. Today we are doing episode 25 from a secret location. No, we're just messing with you guys. But seriously, what we're going to be diving into is going to be the second part. For those who watched episode 24, we're going to be getting into the more actual intricate parts of the science and how the body responds to food on a cellular level. So that's what we're going to be talking about, and Coach Laura is going to be giving all of that information.
Yes, we're going to scratch the surface. I mean, we talked about in episode 24. China will be putting on some nutrition clinics in the summer, later in the summer and fall, and then we can deep dive into the science. But to keep you engaged and keep your attention span, we're going to glaze over it. It's super easy to follow. Just you and I talking about everything. We even thought of more things after that. So we're definitely going to do that. So we're going to talk about metabolic flexibility and the hormones involved in food being converted into energy. Then we're going to flip the whiteboard around and we're going to talk about reactive oxygen species, or ROS, as we're going to call today. He's your best friend or your worst enemy. It's so simple, right? So, yeah.
I completely love that. And so for those who have been following us, you guys all know Coach Laura has been traveling a lot.
Yes.
She's out the road, and then she had the Two Brain a week after that. And then you just got back from Disneyland yesterday. You've been managing to eat clean.
Yes.
But
actually, yes.
Let's talk about the whole entire Disneyland trip.
That's cool. So the background is my daughter is varsity chair at Cal High, and there was a CBU, California Baptist University stunt clinic at their campus. So Father's Day, we flew out at like 9 at night, got in like 11:30 p.m., got up, and she went to a stunt clinic. Again, tips and tricks, epic bars, the designs for health cocoa meal, which are coconut and like inulin, all the good things for the body, are in that. And then breakfast, eggs and meat, whole potatoes, whole the fruit, right? That's what we did. We also took the Fit Zero packets so that we could put in our water bottles for her during her 4-hour clinic. And then when we got to Anaheim that night, Monday night, we just did downtown Disney. We made a reservation at Naples Ristorante because, you know, I love Italian food. But that being said, I had a steak and I asked for no puree potato and carrot, and I got Brussels sprouts made with prosciutto. So it was like fried in the fat from the pork. And so totally great dinner. That was like my first real meal of the day after breakfast. So breakfast, some bars, lots of water. You'll see I do a lot of ice cream, tea, unsweetened as well, good antioxidants, good hydration. And so then Disneyland is the next day, right? 5 hours of sleep, up early, 7:30 a.m. till 12:30 a.m. between both parks. Never left. We don't go.
You guys were messing around.
We don't mess around. And I would say, even if I were wealthy, I would still play that game. Because if you're going to go. Like, go big or go home. Like, right? Why spend all this money going to Disneyland, sit by the pool, go to Disneyland, go on the rides, right? So it's a total like diabetes trap. And it was funny because MetFix posted a few days before we left. It was a little chocolate like mouse head. It's all like diabetes land. I was like, they're not wrong. So how do we navigate through that, right? Again, if you're gonna go right into the park, you can have like hard-boiled eggs in your refrigerator room or some leftovers from dinner, which is what we did. So I had leftover steak and Brussels sprouts for breakfast. Did a bunch of rides. Actually skipped lunch that day. Ashley ate well. She had she's gluten-free like I am. She had a burger in California Adventure, and then a few bites of meat, and then I had an epic bar. And then we powered through like 3 or 4 zero sugar Fit that day because it was hot. Southern California is really humid, right? Like we're up north now, and it's like a windstorm. I don't know where summer went, but it was not that bad down there. And then for dinner, there's a really nice like wine bar and restaurant in California Adventure. So again, I'll post pictures. I'll get kind of a beautiful ribeye with just steamed broccoli. I don't need your potatoes. I don't need, and it came with like cooked carrots, but I didn't eat that because that's like a sugar rush that I wasn't needing. The worst thing I had the whole time was a Coke Zero at 11 p.m. because the coffee places were shut down. And I'm 48. And I've been going since 6 a.m. getting ready. And I was like, I'm not going to make it the last hour of the park. So we split a Coke Zero. So again, it was just a sugar-free trip. I did not waste. People must waste hundreds of dollars on crap food and diesel. Like people are paying like $10 for a chocolate dipped banana. And I was like, you see the size, you're like, that's wild. So it saves a ton of money, even when you have the nice dinner. or breakfast at the hotel. So yeah, totally did it. Other than having breakfast at the hotel on the way to the airport, which made me sick.
Yes.
All day yesterday, I was really sick. So that was my first day off from movement in a very long time. Yeah.
Really quick, I'm just curious.
Yes.
How many steps did you get on that?
I don't
Every day at Disneyland.
We did like 15 months, over 14 months, close to 15.
Oh.
And some of it was like running. We were getting to the front of the Guardians of the Galaxy line. We love the rides. I'm not like I love Marie the cat. I'm not like the Disney because she's sassy and she's a lady. But yeah, I mean, we were just like ride after ride. I think we'd been on 5 rides in the first hour and a half of the park in Disneyland. And that's
killing it.
We were killing it. So I didn't feel like I needed to do extra burpees or anything after that really long day. It was really fun.
The first hour.
Yeah.
That's solid.
We've been there, and Tim can attest to this. Like, even in Disney World, we were there last year. Like, you're ready to run and do what you need to do, but you just cannot combat the lines or the lightning pass full, and you're just like, damn it, you don't know where you're going. And we were just like, but
business.
Yeah, we handled it. So it was good. It was a good time. It's good to be feeling better and back to life today. So yes.
I'm just glad you're back too. It's a pleasure. And just like that, you didn't even skip a beat. We're right here shooting a podcast.
Let's do it.
So first things first, like we mentioned, guys, the last episode was Lori basically talking about just the whole entire experience with Rogue and what was going on with MetFix and kind of just telling you guys what MetFix was. But now we're going to talk about the actual science of what she learned. Some of this stuff is going to be a huge takeaway. And I hope you're taking notes because this may answer some of the questions of why you may not be losing weight or why you're still struggling, even though you may be thinking that you're eating right. So, Lori, let's just hop in. Let's talk about the science.
Okay. So, again, it's about the mitochondria, right? The powerhouse of the cell. So we were digging deep into biology at the seminar. And so I brought up a board to make it easier for you watching to see. So let's start with metabolic flexibility and hormones. And I'm not talking about like testosterone, estrogen, different hormones in the body, right? So metabolic flexibility is the body's ability to switch between fats and carbs for fuel. Okay? It's our energy source. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So within that cell, you have a mitochondria. And that helps take the food we eat and convert it into ATP, which in layman's terms is your energy. It's how you get up, it's how you work out, it's how you eat and recover after a workout, right? So, like, Ty's run a metabolic test with me before. A lot of you watching it have been health patients of mine. We see that whole section, that 14 pages, there's a whole page dedicated to the B vitamins and all the things that play that help. But the Krebs cycle, so here's a little part of it. I wake up and I eat some food, right? Carbs, protein, and fat. So this could be like potatoes, eggs, and avocado, right? That's one of each. Carbs go into glucose, which turns into pyruvate, and that is an anaerobic fuel source for the body. Protein goes into amino acids, which is glucogenesis, which is another anaerobic means of energy and fuel. Fats are fatty acids. You've heard of ketones because everybody's heard about ketogenic diet being in ketosis. And this is your aerobic. This is your one way of aerobic energy production, okay? All of these things convert into acetyl-CoA, which goes into ATP. Ta-da, there you go, feeling amazing. Let's go crush your day, right? So let's talk about the hormones that help all this happen. And then we're going to flip the board over and we're going to look at the cell and how it opens and closes and how Ross plays into that. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, I will say this. You know, I've always known basic macro, but this is taking it that next step.
Yes, yeah.
Like no carbs, protein, fats, but I had no clue about the anaerobic aspect and how these certain macros are powering that particular stuff. So this is all new.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff.
This is perfect.
No,
you're good. So insulin, right? When we eat, the insulin comes out, and Ty and I always say it's to keep it unlocks stuff to let stuff in. So it increases the nutrient uptake. It also increases triglyceride storage. So we'll store some fat if we're not using it, right? Pay attention to that. And it decreases fat oxidation. So when your coach or some trainer online or Gary Breck or anyone on the internet's talking about something, and they're like, when you're eating a lot of carbs, you have to burn through that to get to the fat oxidation, right? Because you've got to burn all that fuel before you switch to another one, okay? So then on the flip side, there's glucagon. it decreases nutrient uptake, but it also decreases triglyceride storage. Okay, so I'm not storing as much fat when I'm eating fats, right?
Sure.
And it increases fat oxidation. So now my primary fuel source is fat. So that's why if you've ever known anyone on the ketogenic diet, who's doing it for like health, right? I'm not going to talk about cancer patients on it because we're not monitoring their fat so much, right? We're trying to get them through a hard time. But for just your average person, it's like, hey, I love protein and fat. I can give up carbs. Let's go ketogenic. They drop body fat pretty fast. And when you're measuring it on something like the StyQ 3D body scanner that we have, or caliper testing, or being submerged, you can watch that body composition change. And it's more than a scale, right? So if you're ever wondering how much fat is burning or not, come in and get your scan. Or if you're not close to us, look around for somebody with a StyQ, an in-body, the submersible body fat test, all those different things, right? And that's my best advice on that.
So so really quick question about this. So I'm not trying to throw a loop to you because I know that you just learned this too, but I just want to get an understanding. So it's saying obviously carbs are best for anaerobic
Yes.
type stuff.
Yes.
You know, let me tell. Does this drive an old hole into the whole marathoners eating a bunch of pasta the night before a race? Considering that would be aerobic activity. What do you think that it's more
right? But a lot of athletes need that aerobic burst. And Tim and I were talking about this earlier. And it occurs to me that since protein is anaerobic as well, that would be a source of that fuel source without needing that. The hardest thing for everyone to get their minds around, and it's true, like we know some high level athletes that are diabetic. There are CrossFit athletes that are diabetic now, right? If we're constantly thinking that, oh, okay, I'm going to go lift, I'm going to take this bag of, people love the sour gummy worms. I've never had those, but it makes my mouth water. I can taste the tang. I've never had it, but they'll eat that or gummies or sugar or whatever. And they feel like, oh, okay, well, I don't want a Coke Zero. I'm hot, dehydrated on the sun. I want the sugar because it's going to give me energy that I need. But you have two other fantastic energy sources, another anaerobic and another aerobic. And when we say that you can't outrun a diet, it's not about aesthetics all the time, right? Some people get ticked off because they're working out really hard, but they're eating like junk and they're not getting their diet the way it looks, the way they want it to look, right? Yeah, because you can't outrun it, but your long-term health cannot outrun being solely dependent on carbohydrates for fuel. It catches up for everybody. There's not something where it's like, you did a really good job and entertained a lot of people. Like Barry Bonds, the greatest of all time. He's not impervious to getting diabetes if he's going to keep eating like that. I'm not saying he eats like that. I'm sure he doesn't because he's B Bonds, But these are the things to think about. Because I'll tell you this, and you and I both know this. We had hundreds of pounds to lose together, right? Collectively. And in the beginning, it's like, oh, God, it's for a job or for whatever. You just have to feel better and look better and look better. And you focus on that. But when you're focused on your health and you're eating for your health every day and you're doing stuff for your health, the body just catches up. Like, I wake up one day and I'm like, oh, I can never sleep with stuff again. So 2018 was the last time. Like, if you focus on your health, you're not going to be a crappy athlete or you're still going to be a great athlete and do great things.
Exactly.
You don't need a bag of candy for that energy. That's all we're saying.
Exactly.
I think the shade on the comments since people are like addicted to it. They don't want to lose their sugar, right? But there's science behind it. All right, shall we flip the board around?
Yeah, I was going to say flip the board around.
It magically turns into just like you go back to the chalkboard.
We have to sit on flat.
Well, I'm old enough to remember like chalkboards before whiteboards in elementary school. So yeah, that's that. All right, so let me make sure I have all my notes out. I don't want to forget anything. But now we're ready to talk about reactive oxygen species. So what is ROS? ROS are molecules containing oxygen that are more reactive than oxygen itself, and they're inside your cells. Okay? So again, we've got a cell, we've got mitochondria. Ross, he's in there, he's doing his thing. And I drew a really artistic reference of the cell. So if this were closed, that would mean the cell is closed, but it's open. So things can get in. So let's talk about this. Your hormones reside outside of the cell, and I'm talking about insulin and glucagon. And Ross is living the dream inside your cell. He's your best friend, your worst enemy, and I'll tell you why. When you eat food, insulin and or glucagon signal cells to open. So it opens up, the food goes in, and Ross is like, come on in. Nightclub's open, come on in, come on in. If I'm eating a good diet of meat and veggies, nuts and seeds, some starch, little fruit, no sugar, and no seed oils, Ross becomes my best friend. He signals that I'm full. We call it cellular insulin resistance. So when the cells, like we've had enough insulin, shut it down, shut the club down, that's when insulin resistance is good on a cellular level. Because he just kept me, I gendered him, sorry. Sorry for us a later, but he just said, hey, we're done. We have enough. The cell is full. Your brain says you're full. You're not going to be like, hey, that was really good, but I don't want another bite. You're done. You're done. Everything closes down and the body just produces energy as it should. I'm not going to gain weight. I'm not going to store fat. I'm living the dream. So when Ross is high, like Snoop Dogg, he up there. So close it shut. Okay. Or like again, they use the whole bouncer at the club. Bouncer's like, sorry, you can't hang with us. Maybe next time. Maybe work on yourself. A poor diet, carb, sugar, seed oils, produces low Ross. So now Ross is like, okay.
Oh, he's the bouncer.
He's the bouncer that's like, no, go ahead. That's $20. Here you go.
Yeah.
I'll still get you. See, okay. Your phone number, go in. Just go. The club is full. It's over full. Fire department's going to shut it down. What is happening now is that cells obviously staying open. The club is open. So all the crap just keeps pouring in. Tastes so good. Oh my God, Doritos. Oh my God, a little bit more chow fun. Whatever it is that I'm eating, I feel full. Like I can feel my stomach getting big, but I don't feel full. So low Ross means, hey, I'm not going to tell you you're full. I'm not going to shut down the cell. And then we're going to start storing fat. Fat cells are going to get bigger and bigger as much as they can handle. And then you're going to feel hungry in an hour because you ate a bunch of just crap that burned off super fast. You finally stop eating because you probably ran out of the bag of chips, right? And then you're hungry again. So people that are always hungry, be like, I can eat so many carbs.
Yes.
Or what are your potato chips cooked in, right? Like if you have to have a potato chip, get the ones cooked in beef tallow or avocado oil. They're at Sprouts. They're at Safeway. They're at Target. Like it's not like it's a special hidden place.
Oh,
if you have to have it.
Hold on. So all this stuff isn't at some secret store that only me and you know about.
No, and we don't just work for the cow industry. The meat industry. Yeah. No, we're still not getting free beef. I would not mind because, I might not I'm going to buy another quarter cow. So again, like, if you're one that's always complaining that you never feel full, why can't I lose weight? I work out so hard. We're going to talk about us and how that's working in the body.
So really, I just want to understand this because once again, guys, even though I know that if you guys are watching, a lot of this I'm learning from her as well. So let me just clarify, and if I'm wrong, let me know. So we have two forms of insulin resistance. We have the form on the outside of the cell, and we have another form within the cell.
Yeah.
And the one within the cell is the good type of insulin resistance because it gives us this signal to shut the cell down, stop taking in any items that it no longer needs. It's reached its max use for its function. And then once we have insulin resistant on the outside, on the hormone side, that is the one that isn't opening the door all the way, and then it's causing sugar and other things to stay just floating around in the bloodstream.
That's also keeping the door open so that you overflow and the fats don't.
Okay, okay. So
yeah,
it's not, okay.
You're on the right track though. So basically, like let's keep it super real, and I'll just call myself on it right now. For the 2 years that I really didn't take good care of myself because I was just fucking done after the COVID stuff, owning a gym, trying to make it like. I wasn't eating McDonald's. I wasn't eating bread, like gluten, dairy free always. But I was enjoying gluten-free, dairy-free cupcakes and treats on weekends. I wasn't working out as well. I was driving the insulin resistance. We cannot blame perimenopause for that. Women are more sensitive to that, to getting it. But I would honestly argue that it's because your hormones and how you feel, the depression and frustration, and you're eating your emotions. So I will totally say being insulin resistant in my late teens, early 20s, and having my fertility issues because of that. Again, 100% how I was living, right? Because that's that full body insulin resistance. And if I had ever made a change, Ross could have play the good insulin resistant cop and stop the overeating, the shit eating.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
This is all very
That's wild.
So
Yeah.
let me I know that I'm gonna go off script just a bit. But so let's just say what would you give somebody who's at home now and this is exactly where they are at to this point here where they know that they've been on the carbs, sugars, the seed oils, and the poor diet, and they're not losing weight and they're kind of in that spot where they're more likely insulin resistant.
Yeah.
What would you say is like, hey, step one? What should they be doing first to start to reverse this process?
Right.
Like, what would you do if they came in and they're like, Lori, everything you said is what I feel. What do I do?
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
My first question would be like, just show me what you're eating, right? And I think, well, at least everyone I've come across, members here, their breakfast is just like the carb, sugar, bad oil bomb, right? So can we change your breakfast? Can we start your day off on a good track of good food with Ross happy and you feeling satiated and not hungry in 2 hours after breakfast, right? Can we widen that gap between eating meals, actually needing them at a cellular level? So I would start with breakfast. And then the second thing for like, I can take more, give it to me. I don't need to baby step one toe at a time into the full. Would be like, let's rip off the band-aid. Like, let's get off the alcohol for at least a few months to kind of just get that out of the system. Because sugary drinks are sugary drinks, right? They don't have to be a Coke. It could be a margarita or something. I don't know. Whatever you guys do, daiquiris. I don't know. Whatever.
It could be a chopped can of orange juice.
It could be. So, let's do that. And then how much of your carbs are you willing to give up, right? Can we start with less? If you're not willing to say, okay, I'm going to give up the grains because I know the glyphosate's on them and that affects all the health in the body. And then all the pre-made foods like breads and bagels have just crap oils in them. It's super hard to find bread, bagels, muffins, whatever, without a low quality PUFA, which is the polyunsaturated fatty acid, which is down there, right? That we talked about last week. So if you can give up the carbs, do it. If you're like, no, I really want to eat bread, I'm like, can you make it for yourself with fresh ingredients? Because it's hard to find. It is. And it gets you. And everybody's like, oh, just a little bit. But your body's a bucket, right? Like here's my body. And I've been filling it with good stuff, which is great. And then I've also been once in a while a little bit of like, PUFA and some popcorn. The movie theater, someone gave me a few bites. So I had like 10 pieces. It's still in there, right? And then you add the stuff, and then the bucket spills over. So if you're like one of those people that your whole life you've been fighting with wheat and dairy, and you get in your 40s and 50s and it makes you sick, your body's had enough of all the junk that comes with that, right? So it's just like your liver's a sponge, and the more junk you put in, it can only squeeze out and empty out so much every day. And when the liver gets backed up, all the toxins spill to the body. It stores in the fat cells, and you're not as much overly fat as you are overly toxic for some people. That's that huge drop water and toxins when somebody does a liver cleanse is just like releasing that out of the cells in the body. So yeah.
So then the last thing that I'm going to ask, and I know that this all varies, but let's just say that someone has finally come to terms that they're willing to make the switch and they're going to try to correct like God forbid, they're the pre-diabetic or insulin resistance. How much time are they going to have to probably eat this way or live this way if they expect to actually start to see a reversal? And so I know that it varies. And the only reason that I'm asking you, because you recently did this, where you had basically checked your numbers and then you went through a whole entire process and fixed yourself. How long does that take? So they kind of know what they're in for.
Yeah. So it's true. It is different for everyone. If you're someone who has a hard time detoxing, like your genetic mutations, if you know your genomics, you're like, got these stacked against me, it's going to be a little bit longer. But if we look at it from a standpoint of how long does it take to buy to truly detox something out? So for a celiac or a non-celiac who can't handle wheat because of glyphosate, it takes up to 90 days for that cross-contamination or accidental bite or slice of bread to leave the body, right? So I always tell people, look, make the switch and go 100% in, because every time we do have a little bit of something you're not supposed to, it just slows it down and then you get more frustrated. You're going to lose the cravings after some people as quickly as 3 days, some people a week and a half. you'll be okay. But for you to start to feel the change and to actually start losing some fat within 2 to 3 weeks, I would say. And some people, depending on how the metabolism, how everything works for them, could be even sooner. But you'll never know unless you just stay the course. And that's the problem. And then on the flip side, because everyone's going to be like, I'll kill you if I can never eat X, Y, and Z again. When you no longer have metabolic dysfunction, you're not going to go out with friends and like have some like spinach artichoke dip with sourdough bread and like go right back into being insulin resistant and overweight, right? It's not going to do that. Like that once in a while when you're really healthy is doable. Like everybody does that. It's not like it's the end of the world. You might find you don't need to do that anymore because the mindset is different and the behavior is different, right?
Yes.
But yeah, so give yourself, I mean, a solid 3 weeks of towing that line, just toe the line.
Just do it right. Do it.
And then if you don't weigh yourself, I get it, but like take a measurement, measure your waist.
Love it.
Do something. Yeah.
So like I said, I completely love all of this info. And then one of the things that I was going to bring kind of back up to circle around because I had thought that it was a great point that you had touched on. And that was making this a focus of health.
Yeah.
Because like you said, once you do that, the rest of the stuff takes care of itself. If your goal is to hit PRs, if you're focusing on eating right, that's going to come when you're working out more because you're finally giving your body exactly what it needs and you're able to feel good. If you're making it about health, then that means that you're going to be cognizant about your sleep as well. That's going to lead to obviously you moving faster and performing better, and you're still going to start to get all those benefits that you were looking for. If you would just say, I'm going to do what I can to make my health the absolute best. All those other more, I don't want to call them for lack of better terms, but they're just kind of filler things, like you said, looks and waist sizes.
Yeah.
And those are things that they'll take care of itself.
Yeah.
No matter what. It's almost like a secondary benefit of just watching the health.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, it's not, could you imagine if on some alter universe or like Stern turns on and the whole reality is scrambled and you're like, man, hey, textbook perfect, like actual real health. And 100 pounds like, wait, that never happens. I mean, just
Who's ever said that?
no one's ever said that. So it's and it's a simple, easy idea, but the process is work. But everything worth having is hard work to get there, right? If I hand you money, you don't appreciate it, you squander it off and you're out of it, right? Like the difference between giving a man a fish and teaching him how to fish. Like you have to put in the work for everything. You don't just walk into work and be like, I'm here to take your check and go. Or like your body should be the most important thing that you put your energy and work into because you'll only get one.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and that's what we talk about having a big why, right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
They're very good stuff. Very good stuff. So right before we close out, really good, because this is a lot to process, but is there anything else that you want to cover from the MetFix experience and everything that you learned there, and anything else that you want to add prior to us?
I want to touch on obesity because I feel like tired of everyone saying like, well, don't be fat and lazy and eat a lot. That's why you're obese. Well, no, probably just like eating a lot and not moving a lot because something got me to obesity, right? Doctors never have an answer, not for you and I or any of our patients or clients that we work with. Although there are great ones out there, God bless them. But the thing is this, like really what is driving it? And if we think about this, like, and the lack of information about what good food is, saturated fats, A plus, right? Well, red meat, A plus.
Saturated fat and red meat, A plus.
A plus. Leafy green vegetables, they're good stuff, right? Fruit, they're good, but we don't need a lot of it. Like breads and grains, we really don't need. And the way they're grown in this country, they're garbage. So when you go to a doctor and you're like, they're like, lose 5 pounds. And when you ask them, how do I do that? And they're like, just go walk, go for walks.
Yeah, that's the typical. Either stop eating after 7 and walk more.
Okay, but what am I eating before 7?
Yeah,
that is the whole game.
I'm gonna eat a whole entire red velvet cake as long as it's right before 7.
I'm done. I nailed it. And I went for a walk to the mailbox and back. So I feel like that should be 20 pounds. Yeah. But that's always the thing, like, no matter what it is, even for women, like, oh, fertility issues or cycles are off, we'll just lose 5 pounds and that should fix it. Okay, you want to help me out? Like, okay. Hey, just go eat healthy. Good luck. Thanks. Thank you for the copay. Godspeed. I'll see you in 6 months when you're sick and I put you on medication, right? So that's the thing. Like, I feel like the best coaches, and whoever's watching this anywhere on the planet, like, find someone who is empathetic to where you're at in your journey, because you're not a bad person for being overweight. You're not a bad person for being like morbidly obese. None of that translates to any of that. You just don't have the information. We have the information. Like, that's what I love about this, because people feel bad about themselves and then they run out and they get Ozempic and then they still eat this, but less of it. So they're able to lose muscle and some fat. And then they're sick. And it's like, it's a high risk for a half-ass reward, because I don't want to take 20 pounds off you and just have you deflate and have no muscle. Because what are we doing for you in the long run?
Nothing.
That's like,
And we're definitely not addressing true health issues.
we're not addressing it at all. Like, strength training is central to everybody, men and women's health, and young athletes.
And like I said, if the only thing that the shot is making me do is eat less of the poor diet, am I really fixing anything?
No.
No.
So your gut health is still crap, and you still have low energy, and you're lethargic. Yeah, and I can't go out with my friends because I'm just going to sit here and not eat because of the shot, but feel like crap. Like.
But I look good.
But
And you can see my neck.
it's my neck. But I mean, we say it, but it's true. It's like, again, what modern medicine tends to offer us is a symptom fixer, not a problem fixer. And it's no different when it comes to body composition, food, energy production, right? It all ties together. So it's not kind of like a full circle episode today of, honestly, the last 24, everything we've talked about, right? So, yeah.
And like I said, one of the reasons that I completely like you talking over this, I know that this is the more advanced side of nutrition, but it's even more, hopefully, people are starting to see why that food and the health side is a huge, huge aspect in this. And obviously, I know that glass isn't CrossFit anymore, but even with the CrossFit pyramid, the bottom is what? Nutrition.
Yeah.
That was the that's it is the foundation. But what I like is that now we are giving you guys a deeper why we are telling you guys to focus on getting into good protein sources, why we are telling you guys to monitor the processed carbs. It isn't just because everybody says it's bad and we know it. There's science that's showing how your cells react and handle it. That's a more, I don't even have to say, but that is an even more reason why you should try right now, from this day forward, saying, what can I do to really start to work on my health? What steps can I take today to make my health better? Not my pants fit better, not to make my face look smaller. What steps can I take to make my health?
Yeah. And I'll full circle the whole conversation from the beginning to the end. So when I started at CrossFit San Ramon in 2012, my why was to live for my daughter, right? She's the only child. We both almost died while I was giving birth to her. Like, how I got to a point of such bad health because I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And I was like, I just want to live for her. Everything that came, and I think I said, oh, maybe I could be a size 8 someday, right? Like, whatever. But like, as I'm walking around this week with her at Disneyland and the day before, all this energy to do stuff at like almost 50 and comfortable in my skin, and I can wear tank tops or t-shirts, and I fit on all rides. People that don't fit on rides or need scooters to get around the park, and my heart bleeds for them because I want to just help them find some health, right? So, it's a beautiful thing that 13 years ago, I was 235 pounds and sick as hell on like all the meds, right? And now I'm 48 and the healthiest I've ever been on all my functional tests, my metabolics, my GI, and my actual blood work, like dialed in. Like, I'm now part of the 7% of the world that doesn't have metabolic dysfunction. And it took me, and a lot of that is MetFix. Like, I knew enough, but I didn't know this. And this is what sets MetFix apart from CrossFit and everything else. So, and this is just like a tiny bit, but
No, it's just,
Carry on, same goal, love to live for my daughter and enjoy my time with her. We had the best time. We laughed so hard. We would cry. Like you'd see our makeup coming out from laughing and our abs hurt the next day. So these are the moments. This is the why. Find a why like that.
yeah.
And then this becomes just like second nature because nothing else matters but that why.
I completely love that you have a daughter who's in high school and you keep up with her and do everything that
Yeah.
she wants to do. And you guys could take these trips, and it's not like her having to drag mom. It's like, no, we are moving, we are doing stuff. No, now you're setting the example for her, so she's not going to fall into the trap that most individuals fall into as they get into middle age and the daily hell that life tends to throw at most.
Yeah.
She's obviously know what me and you had to find out later in life that health is. That is the most important.
Yeah.
But
Nothing else.
but
That's all you get.
Yeah.
You can't buy it.
you can't.
Bill Gates can't buy it. He got all the money. So
You got to do it
Yeah.
yourself.
absolutely. Awesome.
Anything else?
No, I think we've given them so much to think about. And you guys know always reach out to us. Coach Ty 925, Coach Lori 925. If you're in the 925, why are you not in here? The best place to be healthy and fit.
All right, guys. You guys have a wonderful day. Thanks as always for tuning in. And like we always say, keep it classy, San Ramon.